Hi everybody, my name is Alexandra Tsahai Williams and I am a Nairobi-based journalist that writes, reads, thinks, and speaks about Chinese tech in Africa and the African tech sector at large. Today I'm going to talk about something that I love and I could go on about forever and ever, but I'll keep it to 20 minutes, and that topic is e-commerce. I fell in love with e-commerce back when I was a grad student in Beijing, and I would use all of the extra money that I got from training voice recognition software or teaching to buy whatever and anything that I could online. And I would lean into e-commerce in particular during the winter months because Beijing gets really cold, where I would just get everything shipped to me. And I feel like through that experience, I learned about the power of e-commerce and what e-commerce could be in its highest form. And I just became really interested in e-commerce platforms and how they operate. Now, how this relates to Africa and China is that there's been a lot of news about Chinese fashion brands that make cheap, trendy clothing that are making inroads in the US and UK. And one of these companies in particular is Shein. A lot of attention has been paid to what they're doing in the West, but there's not a lot of attention that's been paid to what they're doing here in Africa. So I wanted to discuss that. In addition, there's been an announcement that Amazon is building a huge campus in South Africa, and they've been hiring a bunch of people with cloud-based technical skills to support their new campus. So I thought that that was an interesting moment as well. And then in addition to that, there have been a number of African-made e-commerce companies that received a not insignificant amount of funding in 2020. So I feel like there's this big moment in e-commerce in Africa, and I kind of wanted to connect all of these three seemingly disconnected events and kind of give an overview of what's happening in e-commerce in Africa, and then talk about some of the future potential and what might happen as things develop. So if you're interested in learning about that and hearing more about e-commerce, stay around for the rest of this video. There's been a flurry of interest around Africa's e-commerce industry lately, probably because Amazon announced that it'd be building a $280 million Africa headquarters in South Africa last month. Though Tech Cabal reported that 80% of the job openings at this new location are for Amazon Web Services, there is still some discussion that this might be Amazon's play at e-commerce in Africa. Amazon Web Services set up in South Africa could change the e-commerce game, but it's possible that it won't be in the world of products alone. If we just focus on e-commerce, we miss a rather huge moment that's different, yet altogether connected. Alibaba and Amazon, the world's two biggest e-commerce companies, have a combined 49 years on the market. The two giants in this process have amassed massive amounts of money and, more importantly, data. If we get down to the heart of it, data is what made the two companies successful. Through millions of customers making decisions on what to buy and when, the two platforms have tapped into what we want and how we want it before we know it. This data is what has enabled them to grow, expand, and market their services to other businesses. When Amazon and Alibaba hit the scene, it was more difficult for manufacturers and businesses to advertise and sell their products to consumers directly. Now, we're in an era where sellers of major e-commerce platforms are growing to be larger than life and reclaiming their own data and space through fast-acting social media networks. Wish and Shein are great examples of how e-commerce companies are reclaiming their data and striking out on their own, separate from mega commerce platforms like Alibaba and Amazon. Let's start with Shein. Shein was founded back in 2012 by a man named Chris Xu. When Xu entered his company, he was armed with a robust knowledge of search engine optimization gained from years of experience working for a digital marketing company. By utilizing this knowledge, he was able to approach e-commerce in a manner that was a bit different from other e-commerce platforms at the time. Rather than designing products and selling them to consumers once orders were put in, he and his team uploaded photos of items to their website before the product was actually made, waited for enough orders to come in, manufactured items on demand, and then shipped them out to customers. It's kind of genius if you think about it. By using this strategy, Xu was able to create a huge catalog of data and, best of all, didn't have to invest in products that he wouldn't sell. Now, I must say that Shein's strategy has not been perfect. As BuzzFeed reported back in May, online fast fashion retailer Shein apologized and removed a phone case from its website Saturday that depicted a design of a handcuffed black person being outlined in chalk. The action comes after the company faced backlash online and revealed that it hadn't received permission from the artist who created the image back in 2014. The phone case had been advertised as a new product and was being sold for $1.50 before screenshots of the phone case were posted online and sparked criticism from customers. Shein's website no longer has the item listed. Facebook is dealing with a similar issue, particularly with concern to elections in African countries. Ahead of the recent Ethiopian elections, Facebook said that they'd worked to remove a fake Ethiopian account network. From Reuters, Facebook said the network of accounts, groups, and pages on Facebook and Instagram had violated its rules against coordinated, inauthentic behavior and had accelerated its posting in 2020 and into 2021. It said that the network had recently commented on U.S. sanctions on Ethiopia. Now, this is a random tidbit, but in my experience working with tech companies, it's not unusual for them to look at trends in target markets and implement strategies based on them, often without understanding of cultural context. I think it speaks to the misleading nature of machine learning and promoting trends based on popularity and optimization. As AI-based computing becomes more popular worldwide, more companies will face a similar issue. This could be a huge opportunity for tech workers with international experience. So Shein hasn't just become a huge deal to use in the US and UK. It's also growing in popularity in South Africa. A quick search on YouTube reveals a number of fashionable young women reviewing their Shein hauls. These wonderful ladies offer everything from advice about how to get the item shipped to you to expected delivery times. Next up is Wish. I'm not going to get into Wish nearly as much, but Wish, an e-commerce platform that is known for cheap goods, also manufactures products in China and ships them directly to consumers. The company was created by a former Google engineer. Funny thing is, Wish basically copied Shein's model. The app started as a digital wish list that asked people to create a list of things that they liked. After they gathered this vital info, the Wish team approached merchants in Shenzhen, a major city for manufacturing in China, telling them what people wanted and seeing if they could manufacture it. By year 3, Wish was doing $3 billion in sales. Interestingly enough, Wish recently partnered with the South African Post Office to offer 50% faster transit times, end-to-end tracking visibility, delivery confirmation, bundled shipments for multiple items, and SMS notifications upon delivery. Now, Wish and Shein both have a reputation for being a bit scammy, low quality, and unreliable. But it seems that Shein has gotten a bit better while Wish is still Wish. With these two test cases, we can see that the key behind their success has been none other than our good old friend, data. Okay, well, data and access. Both companies use data analytics, data aggregation, and search engine optimization to figure out user preferences and drive down costs. Even though this process adds delivery time, customers are still buying. Now let's get to bigger players like Amazon and Alibaba. Amazon and Alibaba, while present in African markets, don't have a loyal or specific customer base. African users are using both services but mitigate the way that they use them against the cost of buying the products in their own country. According to a Kenyan YouTuber named Dickens Omanga, his experience with purchasing AliExpress items in Kenya taught him this. You'll pay about 50% of the cost of whatever you're importing in taxes. But even with this markup, it still makes sense to buy items that can't be found in Kenya online. He also adds that shipping through AliExpress can be better than using shipping agents who charge a markup for their services. Now for a South African customer's experience. According to K-Republic, a South African YouTuber, she primarily purchases hair extensions from AliExpress. She says that the added shipping costs amount to around $5 and they tend to take no longer than 2 weeks to arrive. She uses AliExpress because it has the things she really wants, like clothing at pennies to what it would cost to buy those items in SA. She also trusts the reviews on AliExpress, for hair extensions in particular. One day, I'll do a whole video about review systems on Chinese e-commerce platforms. It's actually a really great topic. Now let's compare the experience of using Alibaba in Kenya and South Africa to the experience of using Amazon in Kenya and South Africa. Let's revisit our friend Dickens Omanga. Omanga says that there comes a time where you may want to buy something from the US rather than China. Apparently, things like camera lenses are a lot cheaper on Amazon than on AliExpress. As an Amazon user in Kenya, Omanga says that you usually have to use a third-party buyer and shipper, which is a bit more complicated and expensive. PHMK, a South African user, had a different experience with Amazon. He said that his package arrived in less than 2 weeks, and he didn't even have to use a forwarding agent. In fact, the package arrived more quickly than if he had. Obviously, South Africa and Kenya are two very different countries. Kenya's national postal delivery service is still developing. Kenya as a nation is also developing quickly. A new building pops up in Nairobi every single week. Some places are at locations that are not logged on maps, so parcel delivery can be difficult unless you have the number of the recipient and are communicating with them at every stage. Adding to this difficulty, import duty fees can be quite arbitrary, if you know what I mean. South Africa has a more developed postage system. South African Post Office is actually a state-owned enterprise. Recently, a number of private competitors have popped up, challenging the state's stronghold on shipping and receiving goods. I think that this can be a very healthy thing and might be responsible for the strides that SA is making in postal delivery. What this difficulty might yield for the future of e-commerce in Africa is a decentralized industry led by a few big players and small hustlers. It's kind of cool to think about, but much like the way that Wish and Shein use database decision-making to design a whole e-commerce app, small to medium-sized merchants throughout Africa do the same. Instagram and Facebook are popular mediums for small to medium-scale merchants to sell products. In Kenya, for example, Instagram stores selling everything from wigs to used clothes are all the rage. They use Instagram's promotions feature and pay as little as $6 to promote their content. Customers browse a store's Instagram page, select the item that they want, message the seller on Instagram or WhatsApp, pay for the product via M-Pesa, Kenya's popular Safaricom-run digital payments mechanism, and receive the product through a motorcycle delivery service. Alongside these digital hustlers are growing e-commerce startups like SkyGarden, an e-commerce startup that hit the scene in 2017 with the goal of providing an online marketplace for informal traders, SMEs, and established businesses. In June, SkyGarden received a $4 million round of Series A funding. Next, we have emerging digital storefront services like Paystack. While they began as an online payments processing platform out of Nigeria, they've recently expanded their services to include a storefront specifically advertised to help African creators sell their products online. And last, but certainly not least, we have China-made e-commerce platforms like Kilimall. Though Kilimall has a warehouse in Molongo, right outside of Nairobi, the company also operates in Changsha, Hunan, a province in southern China. Since Kilimall's founding in 2014, its founders have leveraged their connections with Hunan's Bureau of Commerce and the Hunan community. Most important of all, they have a direct shipping line from Hunan to Kenya via China's Hunan Airways. I just said Hunan a lot, sorry. I got to visit their warehouse in Molongo a little over a year ago. At the time, the company's GM told me that they'd shipped 700,000 products, set up a same-day delivery service system, and had their own motorcycle riders to deliver products. At the beginning of 2019, they'd even begun sending made-in-Africa products to customers in China, including coffee, nuts, and flowers. When I spoke to them at the time, they said that the African product export arm was not yet profitable, but they weren't that worried about it. What the bigger e-commerce platforms outside of our small to medium sellers on Instagram have in common is that they are all software as a service platforms, a model where a cloud provider hosts an application. According to Isaac Hunja, managing director of SkyGarden, mega commerce platforms like Amazon have set the standard for SaaS platforms or software as a service platforms in Africa, but there may be a new wave on the way. He said in an interview, sellers want more ownership, more autonomy to look how they want to and sell how they want to. They want to make more data-driven decisions. They want to grow their audience and speak to their customers. I think this might explain why Amazon is investing so much in cloud-based services in Africa and hiring cloud technicians. Maybe Amazon anticipates this boom and sees an opportunity to store and process the most important resource of all, data. Now for Chinese e-commerce players. They might have another plan in motion. China has a competitive advantage in manufacturing. We all know this. China has been regarded as the factory of the world for decades. Some of this production is shifting, but for now, China still dominates in the manufacturing sector. Chinese e-commerce companies, manufacturers, factories, whatever you'd like to call it, would be more than happy to access growing markets in Africa. In fact, a few weeks ago, Cainiao announced that it would now be operating a 6 times per week flight to Nigeria, which will reduce total delivery times from 60 days to 20 days. What is Cainiao, you ask? Well, they're a logistics company that Alibaba invested in to help improve delivery of items purchased on Alibaba's e-commerce sites in China. There's a really interesting story here about how heavily China's e-commerce giants invested in logistics, which helped grow China's logistics sector. But I digress. For the moment, it seems like Cainiao is focused on West Africa and the Middle East, though. Cainiao's chief strategist and general manager, William Seong, said in a statement, "The newly launched air route is a further expansion of Cainiao's global cross-border parcel network and demonstrates our ability to leverage industry partnerships to aggregate resources to mitigate disruptions while enhancing overall logistics efficiency." Cainiao also said that they saw a 163% year-on-year increase in cross-border e-commerce parcel volume between China and Africa in the month of May. At present, Nigeria is the biggest buyer of Chinese goods on the continent, followed by South Africa and then Egypt. Apparel, home appliances, and electronic accessories are the most popular purchased items. The potential for e-commerce in Africa is huge. It's an industry that is currently scattered across different platforms and companies that customers switch between to get the best value items at the best quality possible. But the industry could be made so much stronger with better investment in logistics and faster shipping times. Okay, so yeah, there have been announcements about huge investments in logistics with companies like Cindy, and we have Cainiao entering Nigeria, but what I think is really needed is last mile logistics services. Like these super local services that get goods from the moment they touch down in the country to the customer and actively communicates with the customer at every step of the way. There also needs to be a system that holds a customer's payments in escrow until the buyer confirms that the product has been received and matches its online description. This mechanism is actually what Taobao and a lot of other e-commerce platforms use in China. Looming in the distance for e-commerce in Africa is also the cloud. As e-commerce and these SaaS platforms expand, they'll need expanded capacity via cloud services. And here we have it. Two huge gaps that could, should, and will be filled in the African e-commerce market. Let's keep a close watch on these sectors and see how they develop over the rest of 2021. I'll be back to report as things move along. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be back with another video soon, I promise. In the meantime, let me know what you think about this video and feel free to add any additional insights in the comment section. See you next time. Bye.